welcome to the radio short course, Boston Media House. My name is Chris, as you know by now, Chris Jordan, the lecturer for your radio short course. We've been going through a number of units. We're going to end off Unit 4, which is about show production today with Lesson 2, and we'll end off with your unit exercise. Please remember to complete these exercises, do your best, apply yourself, and obviously to communicate just back and forth, whatever it is, obviously we have our management staff that you can access in terms of we have TK and we have Freedom that I know that you can chat to, and if there is any communication that you need to have with me, they'll just transit that forward to me and I will have a convo with you direct. Right? Okay. So let's carry on. Let's not make this one too long. It actually isn't too long. So it's just rounding up another methodology, which is it's the plan methodology. It's show development life cycle actually. This particular life cycle methodology, whatever it may be, structure that I came up with, I tried and tested first to make sure that it actually worked. And you can use this approach to building a show forever, for your first show, for your last show, like when you retire and you're an old bully, whatever it is, you can, and it'll work every single time, and you will come out with a great show. Just remember to apply yourself, and remember also to apply everything that you have learned in the previous lectures as well. And as you grow and become greater, this will just be a great tool just to have for your everyday, just your mandatory kind of I was going to say mantras, and at the end of the day. Okay, let's get into it. I'm going to read it. I'm going to read through it and then conversate with you. So PLAN stands for perspective, the lay of the land. Then we're going to have our adding value, and we're going to do the next level. I did click back and forth, so I almost forgot my own methodology, almost, but didn't. Okay, so let's start with let's say it doesn't matter where you are, if you're community, if you're campus, if you're PBS, if you're commercial, if you're international. Again, the methodology, you go and apply. It is about how you prep your show. Let's get into P, your perspective, right? So perspective has a couple of points. Step 1, which is show perspective, you need to ask yourself the following questions. When you ask the questions, go and answer them with either activities or with obviously your, internal communication or verbalization, whatever it may be, but obviously make it tangible at the end of the day, right? Okay, so what time of day? Your perspective is influenced by what time of the day that you're going to be chatting about. For example, let's say you are doing an afternoon show instead of a morning show, but you still want to attack, let's say, current news that is it's very big. It's everyone's kind of talking about it, but we know for definite sure that the previous shows or one of the previous shows has already tackled it. You need to make sure that at that time of day, whatever angle, and again, what I said to you about the box, stepping out the box and the box again, right, about perspective and new angles is really important, because you can't listen to every single jock. You can't even listen to the shows that are on your station to see what they had come up with. You have to have a confidence to know that when I approach something, and it might be repeated content, right, or current or content material, then you've got to obviously add a new perspective, new angle, fresh new approach to it, and then it has to obviously match up with the time of day. What is the format of the station? So remember, if you are adult contemporary, if you are youth urban, if you are jazz alternative, it doesn't matter. Just as a music format, that will the demographics that you know of. Remember back the composite listener, you will know what it is that you want to talk about, a specific topic, and which aspect you want to bring in it. What is the format of the show? Is it a talk show? Is it a music show? Is it a morning show? Is it a fun show? Is it a feel-good show? Is it a serious show? I don't know. It doesn't matter, right? What is the format of the show itself? Okay, who is listening and who is my target market? And then what do I want to achieve at the end of my broadcast? So this was an interesting question question for me because, say for me, there was a consultant. He owns Virgin Radio internationally. He consults for many stations around the world. So with Prime Media, he would have consultation sessions with each of the weekday presenters, right? And the thing is that I must have been 27, I think, at the time when he was doing this one particular consultation session with me, and he said to me, Chris, what is your aim at the end of the show? And again, because I'm kind of blank in that, in many in many people's skill way or whatever it is, I don't know. I'm an academic, but I'm not really smart at being a person. But anyway, I didn't quite understand. I said to him, well, to finish the show, I think is the end game, or what I want to achieve is to get to the end of the show. He obviously gave me the dull look. He wasn't a very pleasant man at all. But he said, no, you don't, what do you want to do with the show? In other words, when the show finishes, right, what will you have wanted to accomplish in that show? And I said to him, well, I mean, obviously there's no standard question for that, besides obviously servicing the listener, right? And how do I service the listener? Make sure that everything is relevant, that it's contextual, that it's entertaining, that it is informative, that knowledgeable, whatever it is, right? And that I'm on top of stuff and everything that they want to know. And he said, cool, that's correct, right? But I want you to know that when you go into every day and you go back to that show and you're planning for that show, you want to have certain little check boxes. What is your aim for the day that you're going to tick off and say, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. So whether it be an interview, make sure that I check that off. If today was basically to inspire people about our HIV International Day, then let me make sure that I did that by including international guests, maybe making sure that there are some obviously on the street stories. Maybe there's new research and new findings, should I say, within obviously HIV research and obviously just diagnosing it and treating it or whatever it may be. I don't know, right? But he said to me, those check boxes, when you commit to them and make sure that you check your quality control at the end of the day is done. And I was like, I understand that. It's cool. Maybe you had to paint me a picture. I like pictures, right? Let's go to the next one, the lay of the land, the L in plan, or the plan show development life cycle. So the second one has to do about how you understand what you are working with. So mainly the production elements, definitely. So where am I going to find what I need to put the show together? Obviously, do you have access to the net? Do you know which sources are viable? Do you know where you're going to get a certain person to comment on a certain, a subject matter, whatever it is, right? Do I have the right tools available to me to do what I want, which is maybe it is a cell phone, maybe it's a mic, maybe it's internet access. Do I have audio editing software, video editing software? Do I know how to use Instagram properly? Stuff like that, right? Do I have a working knowledge of those tools? So, for example, I think everyone's noticed this by now, whatever it is, but just the updates on Instagram alone, and the way that you can edit reels and really put a lot of great work and effort. Because I came across, every time we come across reels, they're oh, this is so great, but it looks like a lot of work as well. They're getting before and after stuff and this and that, and there's little cuts and edits here. But you have to have a preset attitude to what you might want as a cultivated idea at the end of the day. So for example, something as simple as, let's say, an Instagram reel that you want to make kind of rich and you want to, let's say, add some value. You would want to go make sure that it's shot, maybe one is shot in the park. There's this here's a great idea. Let's say you want to do like a little bit of ad lib improv poetry, and you want obviously to have like a little bit of an artistic flair to it. So maybe you want to do it under one of our popular bridges here, where there's a lot of like great graffiti, and like it's obviously it's quite scenic. Maybe the other one's at a park, maybe the other one's in the middle of a shopping center, right? You would go in and do and put in that effort, know how to obviously have someone that either has a steady hand or that you have obviously like obviously a cell phone tripod or whatever it is. There's many different, there's a lot of cheap actually available equipment that you can use to create your create reels and etc, right? But you would go and you would execute your plan. Don't go for second best. And if you don't have access to certain things or areas or whatever it is, go for your next best, not your second best, right? Your next best option, and create something cool. But you got to know how to use the tools, right? Okay, so rather just experiment and fail miserably, and then just delete it, whatever it is, and then experiment some more, and then you'll get better at it. Okay, if not, who is there to help you accomplish the tasks? At the beginning of this year, while we're on holiday break, I always get very antsy, so I really feel like I love holiday. Oh, I love doing nothing. Oh, it's great. Oh, I love it. Anyway, but the thing is that at a certain point when you are on a break, like you get super bored, and I get super agitated. It becomes very depressing for me. I don't like it at all, and so I enrolled for a video editing course. And because I was like, okay, I've done this before by self-taught, but I'd like to know how to do it a little bit more professionally. I'd like to learn the tools, and then I enrolled and got the certification for it. It was great. It was 6 months of it, and it was fun. It wasn't a lot. It was like, I'm saying, maybe a class a week and a couple of exercises here and there, and a little bit of a submission, so I could actually get the certification. But it's valid and it's cool, and I had an experience, and I know how to work with the tools, and also know a lot more insight that I would have never been able to guess for myself, because I don't come from a video background. I'm not a video professional, and I wanted to know just a little bit more to make sure that the quality of my work in any aspect, right, comes from a professional point of view. So if you don't know, ask, okay? If you don't know, find out. If you don't know, study it, okay? All right. Do I have access to the correct media platforms that'll keep the content fresh, current, and relevant? Do I understand how to fully utilize each one of them? Very important, okay? So using, again, Twitter, very different from Instagram, very different from Facebook, very different from LinkedIn or TikTok, etc., YouTube, right? Okay? And do I have adequate time to achieve such outcomes as I have laid them out to be? So let's say I need to get a reel done. Maybe I also need to get an interview done. Maybe I can only get a certain time for that interview before, let's say, it has to air on the show. I've got to negotiate my way through that and make sure that I can come back, still edit that, and still air it on the show if it is relevant for today, etc., etc. Good planning, right? Okay, so the A in the plan show development life cycle is adding value, right? So step 3 is how you're going to inject the next dimension that I've been talking about consistently. So is this a piece that I need an expert professional's opinion on? So not just my own blab, 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 but I can add another dimension to it as well. Do I pre-record the interview? Because remember, interviews are very sketchy. Like the person could have bad reception, like they could be driving, which you should tell them anyway beforehand. Please, can you stop driving, get on the side of the road, we need some quality here, and please make sure that the windows are closed, or go to a quiet place, that they're at a restaurant or at work or whatever. Make sure that you're running that live interview with very, very a very careful approach. If not, pre-record the interview. Also, if you know they are going to talk too much, right, which you should anyway as a presenter be able to control, but they might talk a lot of rubbish and you just need 3 minutes out of a 12-minute interview, pre-recorded at the end of the day, right? Can I edit can I add an edit to the end of this link? Really cool. So let's say you do the link, right? You do the content, 3-dimensional, but then you play a little bit of a sound bite, just to add some value there. How cool is that? It's great. So when you get as you know the different elements of making good radio, you need to be able to now kind of salad, like make a little bit of a content salad, and fruit salad that I was going to say that be up, right? Okay, but fruit salad that piece up. And make it, and I saw me even spat there because I was so excited. Great, right? Okay, so just beef it up in any way possible. If so, where do I place it? Is it relevant? Like, is it going to add value? Once again, this is the whole step here, and how much of it can I set up or allow to live elsewhere as well? Okay, so again, remember, live elsewhere on other platforms that are relevant. Can I incorporate online media for pre and post production? So as I said with the example, the Ryan Seeker is really cool. If you have a really great guest and you only have 15 minutes with them on air, I'm saying because of time, obviously, like the time factor, make sure that you have a long interview, like a little Oprah interview afterwards, outside studio. Make sure that obviously the filming is correct and it's professional, and you have a chat to them or whatever it is. You could do also like an additional podcast if you want to do that. It's really cool and great, and you're adding some value. Okay, all right. It's an opportunity to inject a bit of sense of humor, like a prank, or maybe like a bit of a parody. So if you are good and you do have I'm saying good at humor, and you have a great sense of comedic timing, then sure, put your skill to the test and create like sketches and stuff like that, right? Okay, is this a standalone edit, right? In other words, a call a piece, or throw forward a generic household keeping link. So for example, if it's a standalone, that means we don't have to say anything in the beginning or end it off with anything. We can actually just play a jingle. We can play the standalone pre-recorded piece, and we can put a jingle, go back into music, and that, for example, is like good for a pre-recorded interview, right? Or a standalone piece where you do a once-off feature or whatever it may be, right? As you know, a caller piece is explained before, so where we are asking our callers or our listeners to send in some feedback or their opinions. A throw forward, so we want to tease, let's say, to something. We don't want to say exactly what's going on, but for example, we want to tease the #1 Billboard hit for the 4th week in a row is coming up just after the break, for example, right? Or if it's a housekeeping link, I want to just say what we call time and temperature. We want to just say the time. We don't necessarily want to say the temperature, but we say like it is BMH Radio. It's 9:14. My name's Chris Jordan, and up next, a song from Eminem, whatever it is, right? Okay, all right. Do I have to cross to an external content source as a live link? If it's an opportunity, why not? Okay, let's go into the new kind of normal, the last step for the plan, show development life cycle. So the new kind of normal, I love that, right? We've experienced what new kind of normals are through our transitions, through COVID, through the digital age, through, like we're always learning to do something new. But the new kind of normal is about setting a new benchmark. In other words, setting a new benchmark that everyone says, this is actually how you do something, right? So we want to say, how do I draw from lessons learned? That is the best way to be able to evolve, right? So note those things. If you need to write them down in a journal when you are snooping your own show, whatever it is, you are critting, in other words, your own show, right? Or you do get crit from your manager or whatever it is, or whatever it may be, right? Go and make sure that those lessons learned are stepping stones for you at the end of the day. How do I take an idea and make it fly? So genuinely, everyone can have an idea, but how are you going to make that fly? How are you going to make it super great, like stand out, like at its best and to its highest capacity, right? So if it's something that is small and it's a small capacity, but you need to reach the 100% mark on that, do it in that. But if it's large and it's got a much larger capacity, we want to reach the 100% point on that, go for that at the end of the day. When considering how to raise the bar, do you apply things that you've learned in this course? The SPIN methodology, the A methodology, right? CAS model. Like, are you learning other things from other people, not just me and this textbook that you're reading right now, right? Like, read other material, watch other material, like listen to other material to get better. Okay, here's a snap exercise. Social media and what its purpose is. For each of the following social media platforms, describe what their particular use is and how you would use each to add value to your content creation on your own show. So, Facebook business, please. So, Facebook business profile, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Okay. All right. So, just the rest of with the second part of this lesson, it's going to be semantics about, like, for example, like writing copy and just some tips and of the trade. So, what is writing copy? Copy is, like, for example, when we have a live read that we want to do. What is a live read? It's actual written script of an advert for a particular client, right? We could be writing copy for a produced advert that's going to obviously need some voiceover actors and, some sound engineering, whatever it may be. So I want to, again, we spoke about the length, and I think I've included some added value material as well. Please always go check the added value material that I do add to the course content as well. But okay, let's just have a look at some examples of. There could be a 15-second one. There could be a 20-second one, a 30-second one, a 40, a 45, or even maybe a minute for a public service announcement. Okay, so let's look at the slide. For example, like a 15-second version of copy. So, ever wonder why your energy bill is so high? Are you interested in learning how to save money while helping the environment? Now you can. On the 25th of May at Boston Media House, the Boston Media House family will hold an event for saving power. Stop by to change the world one step at a time. I can do this obviously better as a voiceover artist. Like, you have to obviously practice and practice and practice. So that's 15 seconds, around 15 seconds. If and when I'm given a voiceover job, the script normally changes quite a lot, and it'll normally change when you go in for the recording as well. But they will give you like a rough idea of what the copy is like, so you can start getting, maybe if you have to do like a certain type of voice, or it's a hard or a soft sell, conversational, doesn't really matter. As I said, role playing doesn't matter. Okay, you would have time to exercise this, and then practice and make it a little bit more. Like, for example, this is a bit of a soft sell. So, ever wonder why your energy bill is so high? Are you interested in learning how to save money while helping the environment? So it's a soft sell. It's beautiful, like conversational. Almost conversational is when we are talking, but a soft sell is just that softer way of, instead of saying that $9.99, that hard sell, we say it's just it's $9.99. Well, it's not $9.99 anymore. We don't have 1 cent coins, but you know what I'm saying. $9.95, right? Okay, so let's look. Let's look at the second one. It's a 30-second one, right? So, when's the last time you saved money by helping the environment? Sound impossible? Well, it's not. Learn how to save energy, save money, and protect the climate. Visit the event name, on, date and time, at location, right? You'll even have an opportunity to insert a special activity or giveaway here. So stop by the location there on this day of the week. We can't wait to see you there. All right. So when you are writing the copy, envision its execution. Also, again, like I say, if there are any sound effects or whatever it is that the sound engineer must be aware of, background music, like instrumental, whatever it is, like you would put that in there. I'm going to go through some quick 10 ideas or steps or whatever it is to create an effective ad. Okay. Not going to focus too much on it. I want to focus on the last 3, but let's go from 10 down to 1. Number 10 is production value and your voice over talent. Number 9 is the distinctiveness of the offering. So in other words, like what is what are we trying to do here? Are we going to give you a little bit of a concert? Are we selling a car? Are we selling a couch? Like, are we selling specials at Checkers? Whatever it is. Like, we have to find why it is important to advertise this particular product, right? Okay. The effective use of the interplay between emotions and logic. Selling is all about manipulation. You know that as well, right? So we have to make sure that we don't over-sensationalize something. We can if we want dramatic effect or whatever it is, and people know that it's a bit of a parody or whatever it is, right? But we don't want to make it sound as though it is fantasy and it's kind of doing a little bit of a mockery in a way, or it is definitely nonsensical to the person that's listening as well. Okay, number 7, articulation, right? Definitely. Simplicity, definitely. Number 5 is the use of sound elements to enhance the message if needed. So again, what happens is when copy is written, it's written in full with the type of person that they actually want. Is it a male, white, aged between typically 20 to 30, the energy must be vibrant, vibrant and, I don't know, oh my God, I can't even say it, like opportunistic, for example. I don't know, whatever it is. They will give you very concise and very particular directions as to what it is that you've got to sound like. It'll say, it'll even say, if the copy will include, sound like you're at a concert, or sound like you are sitting at the side of a bed of a loved one that is sick, that you're rushing to the hospital. I don't know, whatever it may be, right? So even with the sound effects that are actually directives towards that, I'm just saying to you in terms of full copy, you'll see that as a voiceover artist, you do get the full experience so that you are prepared when you come. Okay, for authenticity, definitely do not tell a lie, right? Okay, and let's focus on the last 3. So the 3 is the offer, right? So in any direct advertisement, there is a call to action. Are you going to go buy Omo that now is at half price at Spar, right? Because that's what you want. You want to sell. There's a lot of Omo, like 1 kilogram. And man, Omo we know is expensive, man. So if we're hearing half price, like, you want to get it now. We don't want the I don't know, I want to say the fluster around it. We're making it sensationalistic once again. We don't need that. We just want to know, like, is it Omo? When is it going to run out, the special? It's half price. Let's go now. Like, on my way to home, I'm going to buy, I don't know, 4 bags or whatever it is, right? So we need to know, like, what is the call to action? Come buy now. Start a new contract at a gym. Get the new Samsung S23 at, whatever it is, right? According to Small and Astor, they defined it as follows. Relevant means it matters to a potential customer, right? The relevance, the call to action. It reduces my risk, makes picking up the phone a no-brainer, or gives me a reason to go with my emotions instead of my logic. Compelling means it has a wow factor, as in, wow, they must really believe in that product to do that. And simple means it is not complicated, especially in advertising. Please, like, you don't want people to be like for me, there was this, I always laugh at this one because it kills me. I don't understand why. Like Dulcolax is a laxative, right? So if you watch the TV ad, there's this woman, and she's got 4 friends, and they're throwing her up and down. This, like, it almost looks like a trampoline, but they're like trampoline, up and down of the sheet or whatever it is. I don't know, right? And she's just like flowing like this. That makes it's very funny, and they weren't trying to go for funny. It's hilarious when you watch the thing and think Dulcolax, and now she's free, she can bounce around this blanket or whatever it is, and her 4 friends, and she doesn't need to go to the toilet. Or she does, maybe, I don't really know. I don't even get the ad. Actually, now that I even say it out loud, it's so stupid. I'm sorry, but it is very funny to watch. Like, the thing is, again, at the end of the day, like, that makes no sense. They had some kind of like abstract message there that was going through that didn't really get through. And well, I mean, if you need a Dulcolax, you do need to go to the toilet. You do need a laxative. Well, it doesn't matter what the ad was like. we know that Dulcolax is out there and it's an option, right? Anyway, so please keep it simple, right? All right, I'm going to move to the next one. Number 2, the opening attention grabber. Okay, so further exploration is the desire that you would like the first impression. Because again, we're listening to a passive medium. So radio, you want to get their attention. Like when you are writing that copy, want to get it immediately, almost like anything. For example, when we start a link, when we start the news, when we start the copy for an advert, whatever it is, want to grab the listener's attention first because of the passive capacity or context. And then they'll listen to us a little bit more, right? Okay. So one way to think about this is don't bury the lead, okay? So make sure that the most impactful aspect of your ad is expressed at the very beginning, right? Especially, like I say, for radio. Don't think about TV now, right? Okay, because TV can use visuals to immediately get your attention before anything is even said, if anything is said at all. I'm saying for a TV ad. Okay, so benefit orientation, probably one of the biggest mistakes that you can make when putting a radio ad together is assumption. So that is assuming people actually care about your product. So like you will know, and perhaps I've said this before, but if I'm looking for a car, every billboard or every OH, whatever it is, like everything that I hear on radio, television, doesn't matter, every like car dealership that I drive past, I'm going to be looking at that. They call it baby fever. So like a mom who's about to have a baby she will only see other mums with babies, like in their whatever their what is that, prams, whatever it is, right? She'll look at little baby clothes and so cute, little baby toys, baby. She got baby fever, right? Okay. The same thing happens when you want something in your life. And the thing is that, sure, does that mean we don't have to advertise anything and everything? No, that's not true, right? But the assumption that someone needs, for example, like like timeshare, which used to be a thing. I don't even know if it's a thing now, but no one needed a timeshare. It was just a ridiculous waste of money. Only rich people actually, or people that want to just throw away money, use timeshare. Like timeshare is so, it's so irrelevant that it almost doesn't apply to anyone and everyone at the same time. But if you want to sell a car, there are a lot of people buying cars right now. Groceries, everyone's buying groceries. Like new cell phones, needs a cell phone, right? Let's say you want to install, DSTV or whatever it is. I don't know. Like some people want to go and do that or whatever it is, or there are certain aspects of DSTV. If they want the small package, I don't know. Doesn't matter, right? So Boston Media House, people want to obviously go and learn, etc., etc., etc. Aim to express your intent for the advert that you are writing copy for in radio to the right person, given the simple, basic, essential information so that you can turn whatever is considered a cold lead into a return on investment for the client itself. Okay, great. Okay, so just in terms of the recording and editing audio, we want to, tip 1, I want to edit before you start mixing. So just make sure that before you start to mix different types of tracks, so you recorded different aspects of your whatever you're trying to put together. It might be, like I say, a piece for on air, or it could be an advert. You want to have all the elements separate, right? Okay, to be able to work with. You want to obviously normalize whatever it is, fix them, clean them up, make sure that they're either re-recorded again, doesn't matter, right? Cut out any background noise between phrases. So let's say so let's say we're going to go through all the tracks. It's very important. It's one of the most obvious tools, but to use the silent effect option in most audio tools as well, audio software. But also, if we have a problem with, let's say, atmospheric noise and becomes a little bit blunt, might have to re-record. Or if we want that atmosphere, we have to obviously then decide how we're going to clean that up at the end of the day. Use fades effectively. So for example, if you are mixing, let's say, music to vocals to music again, or sound effects, make sure that the fades are like they're precise at the end of the day. And again, these are just, I think this section, this section is really like a by the way. It would work better, obviously, for focusing and on actual sound production, right, and audio production. And I could show you a little bit more, but just so that you know that if you are interested in this, you want to go further in sound engineering, here's a couple of tips. And that you know that these are going to work. Cut at a 0 point. 0 point is within the wave point where the positive and the negative side of the wave actually meet, right? So again, without some visuals here, you'll be able to see that there's also even just the way that where you amplify and you're actually manually like actually marking off certain parts of the audio that you will decrease and increase on both left and right sides of the track itself. If you're going to go mono, if you're going to go stereo, if you're going to go to different hertz, it doesn't really matter as well, included in there. We've got to consider all these aspects there and make sure that you are not when you are editing, don't leave also just empty spaces, blank spaces that just have this dead air at the end of the day as well. Okay, this is where the volume of the wave is 0, where the negative and the positive of those particular waveforms will meet. By cutting here, you can avoid clicks and pops to the audio, right? Okay, so the clicking, right, and the popping is like if you can hear someone on a mic, they'll pop like that, and you'll hear that kind of like almost like that abrasive sound that comes from being too close to the mic, or they can't actually execute. Sorry, I just touched the thing, or they can't really execute. I'm saying properly, you know, at the end of the day, and they'll pop a lot, etc., and the clicks as well. It's a different abstraction, distraction, right, at the end of the day. Raise the volume of the individual phrases. I'm not going to focus more on that. Tip number 6, move regions for quick fixes, right? So if having a look here, like you want to be able to say, okay, look, if I'm going to be spending there's different cuts, different edits, multi-tracks, and I want to be working on multiple things at the same time within your session itself. And just to go beyond this a little bit here, I would make sure that I would have these different elements at far sections so that I can, let's say, bounce them individually and compress them individually and work on them individually before maybe I might want to even want to put them all together at the end of the day, right? Okay, but like there's just a tip on the side here. If a phrase or two don't sound completely in the pocket, or a drum hit doesn't come exactly on the beat, there is nothing wrong with a little digital magic and moving a phrase here or there, which is what I'm saying to you with the different multi-tracks, making sure that you know how to manipulate that audio to make it obviously sound like sufficiently proficient, right? Okay, copy and paste. Right, that's the thing. It saves you a lot of time. Very easy one there. Using the ADT. So in a similar vein, the artificial double tracking to artificial. Let me do that again. So tip number 8, using ADT, so artificial double tracking to double a part is an easy part of editing. So for example, we might want to have like a bit of a rebound. That's what. We might want to have like a bit of a rebound on certain tracks, and we might want to have a little bit of we might want to apply like a basic, normal clean effect here, but we might want to add a reverb to that rebound on top. Doesn't really matter. I can just duplicate those voices, and I want to obviously just use the ADT approach as well. Okay, anyway, use mute. So as I was saying to you about silencing certain aspects of your audio is very important. So for example, you're doing a podcast and there's a lot of and you can hear your gulps and whatever it is. That's okay. I suppose you must also practice that just a little bit, but you will in the editing not allow any of that, and you will silence very natural breaths that will be artificially, I'm saying, constructed at the end of the day as well, right? When you're doing takes and you're doing retakes and you execute something, you make a mistake, whatever it is, you're going to add one half sentence to another half sentence and have to add that in such a way in a multi-track session to make it sound like it was one execution with all those cuts and edits that people don't care or know about at the end of the day, right? All right, get it over with, right? So the biggest thing as well is when you start editing, when you are in the process of it, do it properly. As I've said, use the knowledge that you do have in its entirety. So if you know the basics of audio editing, right? Okay, then use those basics to their full extent. But also do not leave a project kind of hanging in thin air, right? I'll tell you why. Because when you come back to it, and I get the concept of time and that we don't have an endless amount of it, and also you get a bit obviously exhausted, especially in editing, right? Like you will have to go back to the beginning, I'm saying the next day, and start all over in the sense of being able to listen. Like, how have you edited this? Where have the mistakes been? Which is something you must do actually in review. Let me put that to one side. But you have to listen to the flow of it all over again to make sure that when you are continuing with the edit, that it is obviously of the same, obviously feel, vibe, whatever it is, and all the effects that you've decided to now place on certain aspects, etc., etc. The thing is that if you can get like sections of it done that can be again segmented in a way that is that's quite easy to move from day to day if you are editing for quite a long time, then do that. Ideally finish what you started on the same day. Okay, all right, so we're going to close off with interview techniques. All right. And then you'll see that in the exercise, what I've provided for you is a template, right, that you will use for an interview that you plan and produce. There's space to ask the questions. There's stuff to do your research, your background research, etc., etc. When you do an interview, right? So choosing a topic, right? That's obviously in terms of contextually relevant, as I've mentioned before. But the main thing is, like, when we do listen to interviews, like on air, not a lot of the time, sometimes we hear a lot of interviews that are irrelevant. In other words, why is this person being interviewed? It's very random. Like here at BMH Radio, we have a lot of musicians and DJs and freestylers or whatever it is that are brought onto the show, and that's cool and all to, let's say, add a bit of awareness. But the thing is that most of it is done in a futile attempt just to fill up space, right? So when we are choosing a specific interviewee and a topic, like I say, the reason for why they are there and why you're holding the interview, you got to look at what we have learned in terms of the production approach, right? And say, I'm interviewing the correct person about the correct content in the correct context of what it is that I want to put out today. Okay, so remember that these interviewees have either been never been interviewed or been interviewed multiple times, right? Either or, you need a fresh approach and like I say, a unique, fresh, and I would say, what's the word I'm looking for? Give me a second. Okay, so when you are approaching these interviews, you would need a unique and a captivating approach, right? So doesn't matter, again, if it's the president's very famous, doesn't matter whether it's someone that has never been heard by anyone or anything, they're just like a shop owner on the side of the street, doesn't matter. Like, this has got to be like, it's got to be the best of its kind. That's the way you're going to approach this, right? Okay. Choose when you're choosing who to interview, always go for first choice, right? So we aim for first choice at stations, where commercial stations mainly, but at community stations, predominantly they also have a database of people that are collected on either software or in software with software that is loaded to the PC, or it is just a simple like process of creating an Excel spreadsheet and having all the contact details, but also what is this person proficient in? Were they a great interview? Have they been interviewed before? By who? About what? And so the thing is that other jocks and other producers can go to this database, kind of type in like a little bit with an interactive form, like what type of person am I looking for, what content matter or subject matter, whatever it may be, right? We want to choose the right person at the end of the day. So normally we have obviously breaking news when it comes to politics, right? We can't always speak to the president, right? Or we can't always speak to a minister, but we can speak to like our second best next immediate option, which is like a political analyst, right? Which you hear a lot of radio stations will do. If they need someone to speak now because it's breaking news now, they'll have a political analyst on hand in their database, and they'll phone them up and set them up for the show that same day, right? Okay. So we have to have the right people to speak about the right things to the listener so that they can get the right information. Okay, right. Okay, so contacting the person that you want to chat to, the interviewee. So we want to, like, you can either email them. It's always better that you either email or you DM them using WhatsApp, or even if it's just an SMS, or if it's through socials. But don't just be presumptuous and phone like freestyle in a way, because I'm saying, let's say if you're doing this out of your own, like for example myself now, no wait, I've got to think of this carefully. Does someone say this? Hold on. Hold on a second for me. Shit. I just need to go. Damn it. Okay. Okay, so with contacting someone that could be a potential guest on your show, the interviewee, again, if you want to be polite, if there's an email option, if there's a DM option, if there's an SMS, an S&M, if there's an SMS option, or if you know that there is, like if they have advertised their number publicly, or if it was given to you by someone that they know, etc., just know your decorum in terms of being able to phone, contact them, and obviously arrange them for the interview. Pre-prep them, chat to them about what it is that you want to talk to them about, or talk to them on air about. See what their response is. When I do a pre-screen interview with a guest, like I just want to have a chat to them to see how much they've got to say, what they've got to say. I sit with my notebook and I make sure that certain notes I say, like, don't talk about this, I want to cut that out, whatever it is. And I say to them, cool, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to send you like it's a rough guesstimation of what questions I will ask, but there is obviously the guarantee that I will also go kind of rogue, not rogue. I will bounce off the idea, the responses that you have for me, right? So, and that's not intimidating at all. Obviously, you do tell your guests that you are not going to blindside them in any way. If you want to talk about something controversial, go ahead, do it. It's fine. Like, tell them it's going to be controversial. Also, make sure that if you are going to be talking, or I say blasphemizing against a certain product, make sure that there's a spokesperson of that particular service, product, brand, whatever it is, on the line to be able to defend themselves. So for example, let's say someone got like severely ill because they ate like a meal somewhere that was not cooked correctly, it was poisonous, whatever it, I don't know, right? You can't just say stuff like that on air. You can't just demoralize whatever it is, a brand in any way that you want to attack them, right? And decide, oh, that's fine, that's not good. Obviously, journalism, that's not good, like media practice, so we don't do it, right? We want to tell them before, listen, I am going to ask you about this. When you're interviewing international guests, they always have an agent. and they say to you, no, you can't ask that, no, you can't ask this, no, you can't ask that, and you'll go through the questions so that you actually know. Like when you do run the interview, like you'll have some kind of gauge as to what natural and controlled conversation is like. So anyway, we will chat to them beforehand, and then we'll plan the interview. Here are some points, right? So, can you please introduce yourself? I don't really. So with the planning, that's fine. When you go on air, we need to use some of these answers to sum up what might take too long, and also what seems like you have not prepping the interview is on both accounts, right? So let me just say that one more time. So we don't want the presenter to seem as though, like, tell us a little bit about yourself. No, you should know that already by the pre-screen interview, right? You should know because you researched them. You should know because they're here for a reason, right? So, but you will do this in the planning of the interview, right? So, can you introduce yourself? Can you tell me about yourself? Can you tell us about, like, if there's any commentary on current economic situations? Is there anything, like, for example, like a citizen can do? This is just examples, random examples, please. Okay. So, how do you think the situation will evolve over the next period? That's a pretty cool question, right? What is the government doing about it? What is the company doing about it? What are you doing about it? Whatever it may be, right? Etc., impact of globalization, etc., and so on and so forth. On air, and you're going to obviously have ownership. The main thing is ownership. You have the knowledge, and you want to get the best out of this person. Even if you are interviewing a serial killer, which you won't because there's a lot of legal action towards that and whatever it is, but you want to make sure that this person says something that is considered part of your ulterior motive, right? For what you want the listeners to know, or what the listeners want to know from this person or this entire process, right? Main aim at the end of the game, right, is to make sure that, is this purposeful? Is it interesting? Like, do you have the right person? Once again, are you talking about the right things, asking the right questions, and then just doing it in the right way? Okay, that is the end of production. So there's your recommended reading for this lesson here and this unit. And I want to just go to the assessment exercise. This exercise must be conducted around an interview with someone of contextual relevance. Okay, so that means that, I said, it can be someone very important. I'm saying in terms of like a profile or whatever, or it can be someone that's very important in terms of context, like a community leader or whatever it is, right? Okay. In other words, you could choose to interview somebody in your area about your community, or chat to an organizer of a charity event. The list goes on. Pick a relevant topic and follow the template that I provide to complete the assessment, and have fun. Right. If you can, go and do it. I'm going to say, if you can, go ahead, go and do it. Go run the interview. Take your phone. Make sure you do all the, like I said, the pre-interview skill set stuff, and the setting up, and making sure that you do a bit of a recon to, if you are going to go interview them directly, that it's a quiet place, or if you need the atmosphere as a background, like it's a soccer game or whatever it is, that you are far away from the actual game itself, the noise, but you have the noise in the background. It doesn't matter, right? Plan it correctly, use the template, use the tools, have some fun. I'll see you for Unit 5.